The following is a production of Stevenson Media.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Twin Toros Podcast. I am one part of your show, Mr. Ruben Calvillo, and the man next to me back from vacation. I missed him, Mr. Nick Stevenson, the president of Houston Sports. OG, how's it going? How was your vacation?
What it do, man? What it do to you? What it do to H-Town? Vacation was great, man. It was good to be back home. I went to Jamaica, went to Grand Cayman. Went to Mexico, so we had a good time. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I got tore up in Mexico.
yeah. You know, they just give you shots on the street. You know, all the little stores that you go to. So
I'm gonna tell you this: I got lucky to make it back to my ship on time and get back home on time.
Don't tell me you were one of those people that was running for their lives.
No. I was not. But we were turned up, man. We went to Paradise Beach Club and shout out to my man Saul out there, bro. It was funny. We went there 2 years ago, and Saul was my server the first time. So, and he got me turned up the first time. So I knew I was in for it when I saw him, man. But we had a great time. I haven't seen you since the event over at Tejas Brewery, man. After that unfortunate loss that the Texans took.
You left after that.
I had to book it, man. I had to catch a plane the next day.
Nick left, and the Houston Texans still had Bobby Slowick on staff.
Facts.
Like, brother. So, quickly, we got to talk about what were your thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs game? What were your thoughts on the officials? Pretty sure you were able to watch, just reminisce the entire time on the boat about what the hell happened.
Yeah, man. So we talked about it while you were calling the game during the live. And shout out to Tejas Brewery and everybody who showed up out there. In a football game, there's not a single team in this league that plays a perfect game all the time. Nobody plays a perfect game. In a football game, the key is to take advantage of your opportunities, and when you do make mistakes, you try to overcome them. The Houston Texans made plenty of mistakes in this game that they had an opportunity to overcome. Some they did, some they didn't. This is what it seems like to me, though. The Chiefs are the only team in the NFL who doesn't have to play perfect, but they get bailed out. They don't have to overcome their own mistakes. The refs help them overcome their own mistakes. And if you're playing against the Chiefs, you have to overcome your own mistakes, which is fine, but then you also have to overcome the refs. So, you have to play a perfect game. You cannot mess up, and even then, you still might lose. Just ask Josh Allen. So, it is what it is, man. I think a lot of Texans took a lot of heat for mentioning the refs after the game. I'm not surprised. I'm glad they did. I feel like they still took accountability. They said, hey, we knew what the situation was. We knew we'd have to be perfect, and we didn't play perfect. And they didn't. You had the 2 missed field goals from Fairbairn. You had a missed extra point. C.J. Stroud getting sacked 8 times. So, listen, the Texans, I think they've moved on. It's time for us to move on. I said at the beginning of this season, if you don't want to worry about any of that, then make sure you have that number 1 seed after a regular season. And the Texans didn't do that this season, and they have an opportunity to try to do that. Now the offseason has begun, and we get to speculate and talk about all the things we want them to do, all the things we hope they do. But at the end of the day, man, we didn't get to talk about this. We said if they didn't win 2 playoff games, it wasn't a successful season. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, actually, I did make a video about that, and I said it wasn't a success.
Okay. What if the Chiefs go on to win their 3rd straight Super Bowl? And that's who
that doesn't matter to me, but
okay.
I would say that, I would defend and listen to anyone who says, this season was a success because you lost to the best of the best. Mm-hmm. And like I said many times, if I'm going to lose to someone, it's going to be against the back-to-back Super Bowl champs.
And I just think about everything they overcame during the regular season. We never really saw this team play a great football game, and you still made it. You were on the doorstep to the AFC Championship game still. I mean, listen, they outgained the Chiefs on the ground and through the air. They played them well. They just did not play them well enough, and they made too many mistakes. So to me, I guess maybe I'm not going to call the season a failure. Once again, back-to-back 10-win seasons, have not done that in several years. The arrow is pointed up, but now we just got to see them improve. I don't think Texans fans will be happy with another 10-win season next year.
Nope.
So the bar is raised once again, which is good because you could be the Jaguars or the Titans or the Colts. So the bar is raised once again. So we'll see if they meet our expectations next season. Are your expectations going to be a little bit more tempered, or are they going to be even higher now?
It really does depend who we have as the next OC.
Okay.
But I will say that you need to win the division for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have double-digit wins. And if you are going to lose to someone, once again, it is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. I don't want to lose to the Chiefs again.
I mean, I don't either.
I'm so sick of those fools. I don't want to lose to the Chiefs again. You know, Nate Burleson was on TV after that game trying to tell America to not give in to the narrative that you're sick of seeing the Chiefs win. Bro, it's not a narrative. I'm sick of seeing the Chiefs win. Like, you don't got to tell me, bro. F the Chiefs. How about that?
Yeah, no, it sucked. And then when you saw the game with the Bills and Chiefs, you feel very bad for Josh Allen, but
Yeah.
this is greatness, like Nate Burleson said. But moving on, Nick, Bobby Slowick gone.
Gone.
Chris Strausser gone.
Gone.
Cole Popovich gone.
They're listening to you.
What was your reaction to that?
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I was a little bit surprised, but I was happy. What that move tells me is that DeMeco Ryans is not going to make the same mistakes that his first head coach made. I love Gary Kubiak. Matter of fact, I floated his name as somebody to possibly run the offense. But Gary Kubiak took over the job for the Houston Texans in 2006. He didn't make the playoffs till 2011. One of those reasons that is he was too loyal to his defensive coordinators that weren't any good, namely Frank Bush and a couple of others in between. DeMeco Ryans realizes this is the NFL. It's the not for long league, and your loyalty to your boys, that's out the window, man. And I think he looked at the situation and he saw the same thing you and I saw all year, that Bobby Slowick was regressing, and in turn, C.J. Stroud was regressing, and this offense was regressing. And we talked about when they struggled early, we said, okay, well, the NFL has made the adjustment to Bobby Slowick. Let's give Bobby Slowick the chance to make the adjustment to the NFL's adjustment. He never did that, all the way down to the very last game. He just never was able to make that adjustment. And I think that's the reason he's gone, and I give DeMeco props. I'm sure it was hard for him to do. I'm sure that's his boy. And, he'll probably, still, be boys with him. But, this is business. So I was surprised, to be honest with you, but I was happy to see it because that tells me that they're establishing a culture of accountability with the Houston Texans.
And then you see Chris Strausser gone. You see Cole Popovich gone. This is going to be an entirely new offensive assistant. Do you have any front runners for OC? I know you bring up old man Gary Kubiak, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's probably not going to. His son has come up, though, Clint.
His son's been signed by the Seattle Seahawks a couple days ago.
Okay. See, I'm still trying to get caught up on everything. I know his name had been floating out there. Obviously, the big fish right now, man, is Chip Kelly. And when you see how many other teams are coveting him, he's hot, coming off a national championship. You got the Ohio State connection. He's Brian Day's boy. Brian Day and CJ are really cool. And he's got the pedigree, bro. That's the most important thing. He's going to walk in that room. CJ Stroud will have no choice but to respect him because he's been there. He's done it on the highest level. And that's what was missing from Bobby Slowick. So I like the idea of Chip Kelly. His relationship with DeMeco Ryans makes you feel optimistic that they can make it happen. I think this is the best situation for him, if I'm being honest. Of all the other teams that he could go to, I say Houston Texans were probably his best bet. Go get the big fish, baby.
Dude, and let me give you some of the numbers here, Nick, about Chip Kelly. about his offenses throughout the years, and maybe this will get you excited. UCLA, he led the Pac-12 in points per game 2 out of his 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
With the Philadelphia offense, it was fourth in points per game, first in rush yards per game in his first year. In its second year, the offense got better. It went from fourth in points per game to third in points per game. Then in year three, that's when we saw the power trip of Trip Kelly affect the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's where they traded away key guys like LaShawn McCoy. But still,
Yeah.
13th points per game in the league in Chip Kelly's third year. If the Houston Texans this season had the 13th best scoring offense, what could have happened?
Man. Yeah. Tell me about it.
Some more. At Oregon, his offense was sixth in points per game or higher every year that he was there. So it seems like wherever Chip Kelly goes, a good offense seems to follow. And I think, Nick, that this is where we start to get into some conspiracy theories. There have been two people interviewed in the last 48 hours that have a deep connection with Chip Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
One of them yesterday was Jeff Nixon, the offensive coordinator for the Syracuse Orange. In 2016, you know where he was? He was in San Francisco under Chip Kelly as a tight ends coach.
Mm.
There's some history right there for you.
For sure.
And then this just happened 10 minutes ago before we started this show. The Houston Texans have interviewed Thad Lewis for their offensive coordinator role.
Okay.
As a player in 2015, he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was with Chip Kelly. He then followed Chip Kelly to the San Francisco 49ers. And then as a coach, he spent time with Chip Kelly at UCLA. A deep connection
Yeah.
to Chip Kelly. So what am I trying to say with all this? I'm trying to say that the Houston Texans have their guy,
Mm-hmm.
and they are interviewing his potential offensive staff.
I like that. Or at minimum, if you don't get him, you get somebody off that tree. Clearly, that's the direction they want to go. But I hope they get the big fish, man. I want the swordfish on the wall. I think they have a good chance, man. Where else is he gonna go? You want to go coach Trevor Lawrence? Come on, man.
because their corny ass coach is Duval.
That zesty Duval
plays. Does he want to go to Tampa Bay? Would he rather have Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans over CJ Stroud and Nico Collins? I don't think anybody would.
No.
I think all signs point to Houston.
I think so too, man. Let's get it done already. I'm tired of
pay a lot of
waiting.
money to pry him away from Ohio State.
Yeah, but Texans got deep pockets, man. Are they finally done? Are they finally done paying all their 1-year coaches?
Nope.
Nope.
They're still playing. They're still paying David Culley, and they're still paying Lovie Smith.
Hey,
and
bro.
It would not surprise me if they have a last few checks for Mr. Billy O'Brien.
Maybe they probably got to. No, Slowick was done, right? So, man, that's fine, man. It's $30 for a Trill Burger at that stadium. They got money. Make it happen. Make it happen, please.
Dude,
that's going to get you so excited. That's going to get you excited.
What?
That's going to get you excited.
Coming off of a national championship win with Ohio State, maybe Chip Kelly, Nick, is not a head coach anymore. And a lot of people are saying that they never think Chip Kelly might not be a head coach anymore. That's okay. If he could be a offensive coordinator for as long as he's in the NFL, that's perfect. That fits the Houston Texans. Chip Kelly could really be tied to CJ Stroud, for the next foreseeable future.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it's somebody CJ's going to respect. We've heard some rumblings that maybe he didn't have that much respect for Bobby Slowick early on in the draft process.
Real segue.
Yeah. And so maybe that lingered into his career. I don't know. I will give him credit for this. He never said anything publicly to slight, or he never said anything bad about Bobby Slowick, at least not out in the open. So I will give him credit for that. But like I said, there have been some rumblings that maybe that relationship wasn't great. So
what Nick is talking about, ladies and gentlemen, there was an episode today from John and Lance on ESPN 97.5. Mr. Lance Zierlein kind of not hinted, but he told us about how there was an altercation between Bobby Slowick and CJ Stroud during the draft process when the Houston Texans were having their meeting with CJ. You can bring up the clip, Nick, and I'll go ahead and play it right now. All right, boys, here it is.
I'll tell you the whole thing now that Slowick's gone. C.J. Stroud came to visit the Texans, and Bobby Slowick was telling them, okay, they were watching stuff on tape. Now, before I tell you this, when C.J. was at Ohio State, he really didn't talk to the OC at all. He didn't think he knew ball. This coming from somebody who knows C.J. intimately. He didn't think the offense coordinator was very smart. So he would only talk to Ryan Day. Ryan Day was the guy who had to communicate with C.J., which I didn't love that, honestly, before the draft process. And it played into some of my thoughts on CJ in terms of coachability. What I heard was that he didn't like his communication was Ryan Day and not the offense coordinator. Okay, well, that's a little strange, but whatever. He comes into Houston. Bobby Slowick is trying to tell him some stuff, and CJ just says, "Oh yeah, I know that we call this, whatever, XY switch, whatever it would be at Ohio State." And apparently, maybe it happened a couple times, and Bobby Slowick just kind of jumped him and said, "I don't give a what you call it, Ohio State. That's college. This is pro football." And Bobby kind of got in his face about it, And CJ's not one to back down at all. And CJ, and I don't know if Bobby was testing him or I don't know what the deal was, but CJ jumped up and got back in his face. And it was very contentious. It had to be kind of broken up. And so when CJ went to his next draft meeting, and I talked to the team where CJ went, because I asked this team, "Hey, did you hear anything about this with CJ Stroud?" And they said, "Oh, we asked CJ how his last visit went, which was Houston. And he said, terrible. I don't think I'll be going there." And people who train, like CJ's whole crew, did not want him to go to Houston. And they didn't think he was going to Houston because it was he and Bobby got into it. And then CJ was drafted by Houston, which that's one of the reasons I was really surprised. Like I kind of wrote, after finding that out, I wrote CJ off from the Texans. And I thought, okay, this is Will Anderson for sure. And so when they traded for him, I was very surprised because I knew there was that lingering stuff there. But then in discussing all of it last year, I heard it was squashed. Like there was no issue. Bobby and him were good.
All right, that's it.
So that would explain a lot, right?
Explain what?
To me, that would explain why you and I talked about CJ Stroud's body language. It just felt like all season, like something was off, bro. And like I said, to his credit, he didn't come out and say, "Bro, this offense is trash." To his credit. But we all saw it. And I think that, Bobby Slowick would probably maybe still be here if that relationship had just not reached its full potential. Like, to me, that might explain some things about why this offense wasn't great. CJ probably saw the same thing.
Year one.
CJ, right, but we just talked about it. It didn't progress. It regressed. And, CJ's body language, like he just didn't seem like he was enjoying playing football for the majority of this season. And maybe, like I said, that's why I feel like a Chip Kelly hire, you're bringing in somebody who's proven it on the highest level, somebody that CJ Stroud will have no choice but to respect. And I think that's a big deal to me. So
I question was it
validity?
The validity
Of the story?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
If we would have heard about a first-time offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans getting into the face of our potential new franchise quarterback, so much so that they had to be separated, we would have heard about it then. If the situation was exactly like that. And here's the thing. The way we were being talked about at that time, the bottom of the bottom, the butt of every joke, you lost the number 1 overall pick by winning a meaningless Week 18 game against Indianapolis Colts. No one was high on the Houston Texans. That story, if they would have came out, it would have been insane. What are they doing?
Yeah.
We heard the stories about CJ Stroud's S2 scores.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we would have heard about this altercation. And here's the thing. Bobby Slowick, the man, I don't think he has it in him to get into someone's face.
Yeah, that's not his temperament.
This isn't effing Ohio State. This is the NFL.
That's true. I'll give you that, Ruben. If that did happen,
CJ's the guy to lose his composure very quickly and get right back into the face of Bobby Slowick, and so much so that they have to be separated. Then he says the camp did not want him. CJ's camp did not want him to go to Houston. We would have heard about that when CJ Stroud told the other team that the meeting went horrible. Now, who were the teams that needed a quarterback at that time? Indianapolis, Tennessee, the Las Vegas Raiders. We would have found out about that.
I agree with you in hindsight. Yeah, for sure. In regards to that story,
I just don't think there's a lot of weight to this story.
In regards to that story, yeah, if that did happen, and it did, like, the Texans are the most leak-proof team in the history of the NFL. Because like you said, everything, especially around draft time, is going to get leaked by somebody. And we've seen things leaked by the Houston Texans organization before. So if that really did happen and they kept it that tight under wraps that it didn't get talked about until Bobby Slowick got fired.
Dude, before the draft, we were talking about whether or not general manager Nick Caserio was going to be the GM. Remember those rumors that came out?
Yeah, facts.
And it's like, all right, well, it just doesn't make sense. And I don't think that either Bobby or CJ look bad in this situation, right? The fact that he said after that, oh, they squashed their beef, okay, well, why bring this up 2 years later, Lance? I don't really understand why this story came out today.
Yeah.
But I was just laughing.
What I would say though is, if, like I said, to CJ's credit, if there was any disagreement or lack of continuity between him and Bobby Slowick, on the field, you could say it kind of showed, but at least in the media, like, he never had anything negative to say. Nothing ever leaked from his camp about
he said he wanted
him and
Bobby to stay.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know. I think maybe the fact is that, like I said earlier, D'Amico just saw the results and he saw the same thing we did, and he figured it's time to move on. I think he knows that even though he has a 6-year deal, we've talked about it, like, that seat's going to start getting hot for him after year 3 or 4 if the Houston Texans don't finally make it to an AFC championship game. So maybe he just saw the writing on the wall and said, hey, let me try to get the best possible offensive mind I can get, somebody with experience, somebody that my quarterback and the rest of my offensive staff will respect. I'm cool with it, man. It is an interesting story, though, because on the field, like I said, we saw CJ's body language. Something just seemed off. So was it that? I don't know.
Second most sacked quarterback in the NFL. I'll be mad too.
Yeah, for sure.
But then if you look at the LA Chargers game, when they score a big touchdown, Bobby's with CJ and they're all on that offense getting hyped as hell. So
for sure.
Like,
it is interesting timing. I'll give you that.
Yeah, very interesting.
And I think you and I both would probably say that to Lance's face. We're not trying to throw any shade, but we would. That's probably the next question you would ask him if he was telling you that story, right? Is, okay, well, why, if that is the case, why are we just now finding out about this? So that's fair. I agree with you on that.
Other than that, man.
What do you want to see from these Texans, man, in this offseason?
I first want to see Chip Kelly.
Right. Okay. What about personnel? Because is Chip Kelly going to save this offensive line?
I want to see Mike Munchak.
Ooh.
I'm a munch for Mike Munchak.
Tennessee Titan?
Currently not with the team.
Munchak?
NFL offense, NFL Hall of Famer.
For
Houston
sure.
Oiler.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one thing that Mike Munchak knows, it's offensive line. And John McClain on Sports Radio 610 had brought up that he has been, out from the league the last 2 years, getting his body right, having the surgeries that he needs, and he's ready to come back and coach.
Does he do his own blocking scheme? I don't remember.
I'm not too sure, but I do know that he could put some great offensive lines together, and then you tie that up with a Chip Kelly who has shown that he can have a dynamic offense. You're talking about getting your offense situate, huh?
You're going to run it back with the same 5 guys if you bring in Munchak?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
That's the thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
like
Something's got to change on personnel for
no,
sure.
like you might have a new right guard,
Mm-hmm.
you might have a new left guard, and that's about it.
Who's playing center? Patterson or Scruggs?
You know they're probably gonna have Juice go again.
Okay. Okay.
I wouldn't like it though, but I would understand why, because you don't want to give up on a second round pick.
Yeah. Maybe they move him to guard and let Patterson play center. I don't know. Something's got to change though.
It was still trash.
Yeah, that's true.
He got sacked 8 times.
Something's got to give. I think we can both say we don't. Shaq got one more year on his deal.
Mm-hmm.
He does. I wonder what the loss would be
But you
if
could
they
cut
cut
him
him.
post like once the NFL New Year starts, and I think you save some money.
Well, oh yeah, yeah. If you save money by cutting him, yeah, for sure. But that means you're going to be looking offensive line first round of the draft, bro.
Tyler Booker from Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Okay. See, I like the fact that we can see things kind of coming together.
We know what needs to be fixed.
Yeah, for sure. The end of the season was disappointing. Make no mistake, but there's a lot of teams going into this offseason now. There's only 2 teams remaining. And everybody else in the NFL is trying to be the Chiefs, trying to be the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles arguably had one of the best off seasons ever in this past off season. They did more than even the Texans did. And if the Texans are now kind of in this situation where I feel like the roster is pretty much solidified, other than you got to figure out who's going to be wide receiver 2, wide receiver
Probably
3.
Stephon.
I'll take that. I've heard rumors about T. Higgins. I don't know if they want to spend that kind of money. You got to figure that out. You got to figure out the offensive line. The defense, maybe you need another safety, but that's pretty much solidified. I think this offseason, you're really wanting to see the Houston Texans put together a dominant coaching staff. And then you can just see it piecing itself together, man. There's a silver lining. There's a light at the end of that tunnel, and there's not a whole lot of teams right now who can say that about themselves. Like I said, it could be worse. So I'm excited. If we land Chip Kelly, that's gonna be the spark that's gonna light the enthusiasm for the Houston Texans next season.
It's gonna be right back up.
Yeah, for 100%. I mean, honestly, I feel like as soon as Bobby Slowick got fired, didn't you just kind of feel like a breath of fresh air? Like, thank goodness.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Bro.
Yeah.
I mean, we were worried that he was gonna, keep him here for a third year, and you would have known. Week 1, first problem. Bobby, get rid of him. Like,
Yeah.
It would have been insane.
The first play of the year definitely was going to be a run up the middle with Joe Mixon if he was still here.
For -2 yards. Ooh.
Oh, snap. But yeah, man.
Chip Kelly would be like a 60-yard run to Damian Pierce or something.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited if that happens, man. If that doesn't happen, who else are you looking at? Or is it Chip or bust?
I mean, there's Nick Caley from the Rams. He's the OC. He doesn't call plays, but you hope he's learned from Mr. Sean McVay. He's also been with the New England Patriots. He's been a tight end coach for a very long time.
Yeah.
There's Josh McCown. I don't know. Been around 30,000 different teams, so he might pluck the best offensive plays from each time. From each one.
They interviewed Gerard Johnson, right?
I don't want to see Gerard Johnson, but I will understand Gerard Johnson.
Okay.
I want Chip Kelly. That's my number 1 option. And the Texans are showing you right now that, they view Chip Kelly as an option.
Yeah.
By just, they're not even hiding who they want. They're interviewing his staff.
They should be the favorites, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just his relationship with D'Amico, the relationship with other people on the staff, and just where the Texans are in the spectrum of the rest of the league. I think people feel like the Texans are close. They're a few steps away. So it makes the most sense. If I'm him, this is where I'd want to be. So I hope it happens, man.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for being a part of today's episode. That was Nick Stevenson, the president of Houston Sports. You got anything to say before we go?
No, man, just make sure you guys are following us on our YouTube channels. Thank ESPN Houston once again for letting us do this show in the offseason. I'm going to put our link trees in the description, but you guys go follow 713 Houston Sports. I'll make sure you have all of his socials. Follow Houston Sports State of the Union. And I'm blessed we're going to be able to keep doing this during the offseason, man. It's going to be a fun offseason. And H-Town till we drown, baby.
Till we drown, man. And, you know, my name is Ruben. Just type in 713 Houston Sportcast. We pop right up. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Do us all a favor. Have a blessed day. We'll see you next week.